Howdy, all. It's Friday.
Hey!
Yeah. Which for normal working stiffs means the end of the week, but for hockey writers, the work week is 7 days a week. So
Just
we
another
slate.
day.
Yes, it's just another day. Usually, it's a day with very
Are you wearing like
little.
Mike? You're all like you're wearing velour and it's heavy. Like, are you having a? Is it cold in?
It's not velour. Just a regular
Oh, okay.
shirt.
Is it cold in Buffalo?
No, it's
Okay.
it's like 50s. It's fine.
Oh, 50s. It's 70s here, Mike.
Well, it'll get warm on the weekend.
Oh, okay.
But no, you had a pre-show thing that you
I
wanted to.
did. Lonzo Ball made his NBA debut for the LA Lakers, and I feel bad for the guy. I do. It's almost like this is like a train wreck waiting to happen because his dad is always for the whole year, it seems, leading up to the draft, just been pushing them, pushing them, pushing them in the press, saying stuff.
Sneaker
Sneakers,
people.
the kid, he pulls his kid out of school who's supposed to be the next great NBA player. Now he's being homeschooled. It's like this is a dad that needs to like step back because he's made his son like a target now in the league. I mean, he only scored 3 points, but now it's a big story. Now, if none of this had been an issue, like the dad never said a word, he was just another dad, everybody would say, hey, all right, no problem. He's a rookie. He's got to get better. And they would all say positive things. But because it's this big media story, it gets blown out of proportion. Now, Scottie
Yeah.
Pippen, I got to give him credit. He didn't blow it out of proportion because he understands as a player. But a lot of the media is just, almost taking revenge shots.
Yeah, but it's also bleeded into the player versus player thing because I heard this morning, I think it was on Mike and Mike ESPN show, that there was an LA Clippers player who was directly opposing Ball during the game and was talking trash and
Yeah.
probably not talking trash about him, probably talking trash about him and his dad.
Yeah.
And the media after the game went up to this player on the Clippers, and I can't remember the name of the player because honestly, and the NBA is like over me, but he didn't want to talk about it because they apparently they had audio or people were able to gather what he was saying. I don't know, maybe somebody read lips or whatever, but he was talking trash. But that's why you don't have somebody pumping somebody up who's never played an NBA game yet. It's one thing if LeBron James gets pumped up because he's, even coming out of high school, everybody knew he was going to be a superstar. And I'm not saying that this kid isn't going to be a very good NBA player. I'm sure he's going to be because he's got a lot of talent. But his father just focused too much stuff on him, and I think it's really detrimental to his career. And I hope it doesn't ruin it. But not off to a good start.
Not off to a good start. And, like I see this headline from Yahoo Sports. Patrick Beverly mercilessly bullies weak Lonzo Ball into submission. Like, why is that
That's
the headline of the game when the Lakers didn't win, right?
no, they didn't.
So why are we highlighting the worst part of the loss?
Well,
Like,
that's
picking on
the
a rookie.
player.
I know.
That's the player. I mean, well, because it's sensational, Russ.
Yeah.
Because nobody cares about the Lakers this year because first of all, the Lakers suck. Second of all, they'll be good next year when supposedly Paul George and possibly LeBron and some of these other guys descend on Los Angeles as the place to go to. Like the next, this will be the next Miami that'll just build a team out of nowhere. Just spend $200 million and bring all these guys in. But this is the only story that they have. It's really not a good team.
But let's remember, this kid is a rookie. Like, these outlets should really be easy on him,
No, but the funny thing is that the thing that has the least to do about this whole story is the actual kid. It's the dad. It's the fact that his dad has pumped this up so much and has become such a negative focal point that now everybody. People are going to be interested in watching this kid fail.
You see, I don't like that. I
don't like it either. That's the unfortunately that's the way society is operating in politics and sports, everything. It's watching people fail and fall.
Yeah, so hopefully it changes for him.
Yeah. No, I found something quite humorous. And for us back in the day, we always remembered the Kentucky Fried Chicken commercials, Colonel Sanders, and how they specified 11 herbs and spices.
Now, just to be fair here, as a kid growing up on the island, I never ate Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I very rarely ate it, but you always saw the commercials.
Right. We had a local place named Zorn's, and I don't even think I became aware of Kentucky Fried Chicken until I was like a teenager. But go ahead.
But as part of the ad campaign, they always specified 11 herbs and spices.
That's true.
Now, if you go to the KFC Twitter feed, I'm sure they have millions of followers. Their Twitter account is only following 11 people. the Spice Girls and 6 guys named Herb. I thought that was brilliant.
That is brilliant. I give them that.
Tip of the hat to KFC for that, because that's phenomenal. One of them was Herb Alpert, the Tijuana Brass. Yeah. I'm surprised Herb. I guess I'm surprised Herb Tarlick doesn't have a from WKRP in Cincinnati.
Yeah. No, that's great though. Good sense of humor on them.
Yes. All right, let's get the show started. We may have Eck today.
When he comes on with some rumors.
Yeah, we do have some questions in the chat that we've asked some of our listeners and followers to drop in. So, hello, Hockey Roll. Today is Friday, October 20th, 2017.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Michael Agello, and this is the Hockey Buzzcast here on HockeyBuzz.com. Well, a number of games in the NHL last night. One of the more interesting ones was the rematch of the 2011 Stanley Cup Final, Boston and Vancouver. Bruins were without Ryan Spooner. I mentioned that yesterday because he was out with an injury. Tuukka Rask was diagnosed with a concussion. They lost, and now they won the game 6-3. 3 power play goals on an Eric Goodbranson major penalty. Patrice.
So they scored 3 in the 5 minutes.
3 in the 5 minutes. Patrice Bergeron had 4 points in the game, and Khudobin, played decently.
It's hard to tout that the Bruins are really back. They just when you take Goodbranson out of the Vancouver equation, they have no defense.
Yeah, and Anders Bjork, who's the player who ran into Tuukka Rask in practice, scored a couple goals.
Yeah.
And as you said, Bergeron with 4 points. The one thing that happened in this game that was, again, not a good sign for the Bruins, Adam McQuaid gets hurt during the game, and Joe McDonald, formerly of ESPN, Boston reporter, is reporting that McQuaid has a broken leg. So we're talking about a defense that was short on experience. They had Carlo, they have McAvoy. Yeah. Chara is still a rock back there. But, if they lose McQuaid, if it's a broken leg, it's a broken leg. It's going to be.
At this point, is Grzelcyk playing regular minutes? I haven't noticed.
I don't believe so, but I honestly, I
know he was playing a little bit at the beginning, so maybe he'll get back in there.
Yeah, I'll check the game, check to see.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Yeah, if he played yesterday, but. This was an area that was in transition with the Bruins. Obviously they trade Boychuk, Seidenberg moves on. This is from the team from 6 years ago.
Grzelcyk only played the 1 game so far.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. They won't. So no. But Krug is back. I saw Krug playing with a face mask. So at least they have him back. But their players are dropping like flies to the Bruins, and this is not a team that I think you could say was overly deep.
No, you know what? At this point, if you want to replace McQuaid with somebody similar, maybe Rob O'Gara. Maybe he's the guy.
Yeah. Now, Vancouver.
Wait, I had breaking news.
Go ahead.
Rob O'Gara, I don't know why I've never noticed this because I covered him in college when he played for Yale. He's from Massapequa, New York. That's 2 players from Massapequa now.
That's breaking news.
That's breaking news. Thank you.
What is this? The Massapequa Times? Yeah. Come on.
It's the Russ Cohen report.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
For the only person who cares. And maybe Jerry Seinfeld, because he went back to Massapequa in a special. It was pretty good. If people didn't see it, it was funny.
Yes.
Anyway.
Thomas Vanek in just, I believe this was their 6th game, has 3 goals. This is the thing, Russ. Like last year, Vanek could very easily be a player that you signed cheap and flip someplace else.
Yeah.
Again, but this depends on the mindset of Vancouver management.
You know what? Here's the thing, though. This is the alarmingly bad thing about Vanek at the moment, and it's not all his fault, but he's getting signed by those middle-of-the-road sort of teams, scoring points, and then you kind of wonder, like, hey, is it going to – when you trade assets for him, like, who traded assets for him in the playoffs 2 years ago?
Florida,
yeah. I was thinking
last year.
And then he's going to disappear. Like, that's the problem with Vanek now. Do you think that there's a little bit of a pattern there? Makes you worry.
Right. But the thing is, I think you're still going to have teams that are desperate for offense saying, okay, this is a guy that we can get for a 2nd-round pick and a prospect. We're going to go after it because the options out there are more expensive to trade for somebody who can score goals. He might be able to, he might be able to shake off what he didn't do in Florida and what he could do for us. So, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, but I just overall, I look at Vancouver and, I know that I'm still questioning the goaltending. Alex Edler is out, so they're already thin defense is even thinner.
Yeah, I saw Joe Yerdon put out that it looks like Markstrom's going tonight. Nielsen went the other day. He wasn't very good. I mean, no, they're starting to hit the skids already.
And it was, I think it was the game against Ottawa, where the Sedins played less than 10 minutes. Now, unless both of them had colds or something like that, I mean, I don't know what was going on, but there's some warning signs there. But again, I feel for Travis Green because I think he's a good young coach. But until that team embraces what they should be embracing, which is a complete teardown and rebuild, this patchwork baloney that they're doing like the Leafs did a few years ago is just an exercise in futility. Teams do not all of a sudden spring up and go to the Stanley Cup final with patchwork fixes, and that's what they're doing.
True. And right now, that's what people are asking me about the New York Rangers, and I got asked about that on the Steve Cooley show the other day.
And ironically, that was the game I was going to talk about next because the Islanders beat the Rangers 4-3 in a shootout.
Would there ever be a rebuild? And the quick answer for me is no. Like there's for a lot of million different reasons. Biggest one is marketing. They always feel like they have to have big names to market because they charge a lot for tickets, and that's going to be a battle because if they don't start getting better, that's the road they're going to go down. And I still think it's a little premature, but look, I mean, it's not looking great now. And this wasn't a fantastic game for the Islanders either, but they did win it in a shootout, and they did use Tavares in the shootout. So little nod of the cap there to Doug Waite. I would use Tavares every shootout. and he had a great shot. Like there was just like it just made you wonder why they don't use him every shootout. Anyhow, but as we see in the chat room here, Darren Dreger's reporting that the Rangers are back in on Duchesne. Now, if the Rangers were going to be back in on Duchesne, and clearly they do have a center problem, like there's no question about that.
Sure.
The issue there is Brady Shea is probably going. And right now their defense is as thin as it's ever been. And so I don't know. Now, they'll probably get somebody in return on defense, and they probably will have to give them another player, a prospect or somebody, and they're not going to give them Hedel, and they're not going to give them
Anderson.
And so I'm thinking in my head, like, who's next man up, and, that's tough for them. A
Halverson? Or
no, it could be maybe see, I was thinking Ryan Graves, but Graves is a defenseman. Maybe they'll take Graves, though. I mean, he is good. He's just not getting a chance.
Could they include somebody? I mean, let's just say this: if it's a Buchnevich, then they're insane.
Yeah, no, it can't be Buchnevich. Like they don't have enough offense to begin with.
Well, could from a Ranger perspective, could it be one of these guys who, not Miller, but a Hayes or a Kreider or somebody of that nature, because we know that Colorado is looking for a ready asset and a young defenseman.
I know. Right now, just so people know Ryan Graves has 2 points in 4 games, had 30 last year. I liked what I saw out of him preseason, but they are going to have to give him a roster player. And boy, I guess it would have to be Kreider. Yeah.
Now Kreider was just signed to an extension. I think it was last
$1 million bucks or something, a reasonable deal.
Yeah, so that would counter the cap hit of Duchesne, which is $6 million. So I mean, some money has to be going back to Colorado.
Sure. Yeah, no doubt. But I would say that it wouldn't shock me if Kreider is the guy, the main proponent there.
Yeah. Next game was the Nashville Predators, and this was a barn burner. Nashville and Philadelphia, a 1-0 victory for the Preds. Colton Sissons with the only goal, Pekka Rinne with the shutout. The Flyers have been, I think, pretty decent offensively so far this year.
Yeah, decent some games, not decent other games. This game, definitely decent. I was happy to see that they were decent with Sanheim in there. And now we'll see if that carries over. Nobody's going to know. That's going to be the big thing on Twitter. Will Sanheim play on Saturday when Connor McDavid rolls into town? But, yeah, I mean, look, I think their defense has been okay because their offense has been so overwhelmingly good. Now, yesterday they did clearly play a good defensive game, but also Nashville played, it looked like to me, and I didn't go to the game to cover this one, it looked like they were playing one of those games where they were sitting on the lead. And they did have some offensive output from Fiala even after he helped set up that first goal. But Fiala and Colton Sissons it's a pretty good combination there. I kind of like that. And surprisingly, Sissons can keep up with them. And so that's good. Beyond that, though, it was Pekka Rinne, and I think the Flyers had 29 shots on goal, very low shot total. And it just seemed like Nashville was just intent on clearing the puck out, clearing the puck out, clearing the puck out.
Well, it's a good sign that Fiala is back and appearing at almost 100% after the catastrophic injury he had in the playoffs last year. I mean, we know that the Preds got to the finals with a sort of just everybody scoring, Freddie Gaudreau scoring, Colton Sissons scoring, guys that you didn't expect to provide offense that did provide offense. But, for them to have success this year, they're going to need a former first-round pick like Fiala, who started to show some offensive ability last year, and they need Johansson to really kick it in to earn the $8 million he's making for them to have success. And, I mean, so far they're doing okay. I still question, and we started to question this in the playoffs last year, Russ, is how long it's going to be before Pekka Rinne starts to fall off, because he is getting up there in age.
I don't know. He didn't fall off yesterday.
No, he didn't fall off yesterday. I'm just saying how long it will.
I think we're still a couple of years away now. Look, it's good that he has the defense he does. I think we're a couple of years away from that still. I do.
Okay. The other shutout of the night was a 2-0 Tampa Bay Lightning shutout over the Columbus Blue Jackets. Andrei Vasilevsky. I know we talked when we were doing the season preview when Eck predicted Toronto over Tampa. He used the questioning of Vasilevsky's ability to handle the number one job as a potential problem for Tampa.
Yeah,
I didn't think that there was any potential problem there. I had confidence in Vasilevsky based on how he played after Ben Bishop was traded last year. And if you look at what Tampa's doing right now, first of all, Sergachev scored 2 goals, his first 2 goals of his NHL career in that game, and that would make him the leading scorer on the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, it would.
But I didn't have any question regarding Vasilevsky, and looking at Tampa, getting Stamkos back and seeing how that team was very successful after the trade deadline, after they got rid of Filppula, after they got rid of Brian Boyle, after they gave Braden Point a lot more ice time and a lot more responsibility, and that team, if you add Stamkos to it, I mean, that's scary. They're now leading the NHL in points with 13.
Yeah, I talked about just this morning. I have up on my SoundCloud page. I was on Stellick and Simmer, and we talked about Tampa Bay, and they have the perfect situation because they've got youngsters down below. They've got developed young talent in the lineup with big-time talent. I mean, it's almost a perfect situation. And so right now, other than last year, which was just a debacle for them, Steve Yzerman has really done something special here. Like this is one of the best organizations talent-wise that you could find in the NHL. And I mean by talent-wise, prospects and players, develop players. And so, I always expect big things out of Vasilevsky. I never bought anything else. So it's interesting. And I'll even put out a plug. We, for Hockey Prospect Radio this week, we talked to Stacey Roost, and he talks about the Tampa Bay Lightning prospect. So for people who want to listen to that tomorrow morning. Yeah.
And in covering the Syracuse Toronto Marlies series last April and May, I got a firsthand look at some of the prospects for the Lightning, and Adam Erne or Ernie, and I always think it's pronounced Erne.
Yeah.
I think he's a great prospect. I mean, he played a little bit for Tampa at the end of the year, and he was very, very good.
I think injuries set him back a little bit, and he's just got to get his skating a little better, but I think he's good. I do. And
Matthew Pekka also as well. So, I mean, there's a couple really good prospects. Now, Cuckoo is playing full-time with the Lightning this year.
And Sergachev had a couple goals. No offense, Canadians fan.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I mean, and we'll talk about Montreal a little later.
John Cooper, really put the dagger in, because post-game he was talking about how great Sergachev is.
Well, you don't think he takes some celebratory glee out of the fact that they traded a guy that he clearly did not like, even though he's an extreme talent in Drouin, and got himself a defenseman who could very easily be a top pairing 20+ minute a night guy. I mean, he will go bonkers if Sergachev keeps playing like that. He'll love it.
That post game wasn't lost on me. I do want to give a shout out to Bigfoot. 50 years ago today, the biggest fraud ever perpetuated.
Oh, stop. I'm far from being a conspiracy theorist, but come on. You're telling me that was somebody dressed up in a woolly suit?
Yes, I'm telling you that was some former NBA player or high school basketball player.
It was Andre the Giant from $6 Million Man?
Somebody yes, it was similar to that, yes.
It was Will Chamberlain on his day off after a game in Seattle?
And Cousin Eddie has provided no proof, so he gets no prize. I would tell you, though, if Cousin Eddie provides the proof, hold on. Let's see, now I can't find it. Wait, it's going to be over here. Okay. If Cousin Eddie were to provide the proof, I would have given him. I'll find it. Keep talking.
All right. Well,
or next time.
Yeah, we'll talk about Cousin Eddie later. Okay, New Jersey Devils continued their winning ways with a 5-4 overtime victory over the Ottawa Senators, but the victory may have been costly. Corey Schneider did not come out for the third period. Keith Kincaid came in, got the victory. Yeah. Kincaid said after the game, apparently he was munching on a granola bar when he was told by John Hines that he was going into the game in the third, so he was caught completely unprepared. There's not an update yet on Schneider. Apparently, Hines will let the media know later this afternoon.
I thought this was going to be a Mike story, and he was going to be crunching on a granola bar, and then, his tooth was going to fall out.
Please, let's not talk about my tooth problem. Yeah, I've got the. Okay, I'll just share it for you folks. Only myself could break 2 teeth. First one on a Tic Tac, second one on a Raisinette. That's how brittle my teeth are lately. I don't know what's going on. I'm just getting old. What the hell? But whatever. I'm sure everybody really wanted to know about my teeth. Thank you. But if Schneider is out for a prolonged period,
yeah,
that's going to be bad news for the Devils, because this is one of the good stories in the league right now, and he's the big reason why he was great in the game against Toronto. The only game that the Leafs have lost was to the Devils last Wednesday. And I think he faced 50 shots. So, I mean,
wow. Yeah, 50 is a lot.
He's a big time goaltender, and if they're going to make the playoffs, it's going to be on his back. And if he's out for a significant period of time, they're in trouble.
Yep.
I watched a little bit of this game just simply because it was Edmonton and Chicago. Basically,
what's going on in Edmonton, Mike?
What's going on is that it's Connor McDavid and everybody else. That's
really what it is.
Yeah, and Connor McDavid scored an unbelievable goal. I'm sure everybody has seen the replay of his, holding off the Blackhawks defense and turning around and backhanding it or whatever it was past Anton Forsberg. It went to overtime. Mark Letestu scored an overtime 2-1 victory for Edmonton. It was a pretty wide open and entertaining overtime, I have to say. And Forsberg, I've seen Forsberg play twice now, Russ, and maybe he's not the sieve that he used to be in Columbus because, a few years ago, he was really a bad goaltender.
He was
one of the worst goaltenders in the NHL when he was playing for Columbus. But I've seen him play against Toronto. He played pretty decently, and he played pretty good last night. So maybe they do have a backup goaltender.
Maybe. That's a good thing. So what do we think about the Oilers? What's going on with them?
I don't know. Right now it's tough to evaluate them without
people expected to go to the Stanley Cup this year.
Well, that's
not us, but a lot of people were talking that way.
Well, that's it. That's idiocy. That's folly. That's like, oh boy, McDavid's the best player in the league, which he may very well be. But you look at the rest of that team, and Cam Talbot had maybe his career year and played 70 games. He cannot play that many games and expect to get them through the playoffs. So they needed to find a backup goaltender. They didn't. They still have Laurent Boisson. So that's. I know nothing against him.
The Oilers are 2-4.
Yeah, their defense, I'm not a big fan of still. I've talked ad nauseum about the Chris Russell contract, and right now, I don't know if he played last night. I didn't see him, so I don't believe he did. But with Draisaitl out, it's tough to really evaluate where they are because Draisaitl is so necessary to take some of the heat off of McDavid that if he's not there, the team is not the same team. So really, it's tough to evaluate where they are.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to evaluate them. Here's what I would offer up. I have some autographs somewhere, but typically I'm askew and I don't know where my stuff is. So if Cousin Eddie could prove Bigfoot, I will give him this Mitch Marner rookie card.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
And I'm sure
all he has to do is prove that there's a Bigfoot.
I'm sure that would make Cousin Eddie's day.
Yep. Very easy to do.
Yes. I'm probably the only one in the world, Russ, who has not seen this controversial offside situation with the Blues and the Avalanche last night.
I did see it.
Now, from what I heard from Blues GM Doug Armstrong, he said it was clearly offside, and then the play came out of the zone, then back in the zone.
Yeah, once the play came out of the zone, it should have been done. Like, that should have been it because the referee was bumped into.
Right.
No longer had a view of the play. It should have been blown dead. But what, and I think it was McKinnon. To McKinnon's credit, he was sort of looking around like, okay, and he just went back into the zone and and they kept the play going and got a goal.
So apparently the NHL is going to release some statement on this play later today if they have.
Not much they can say. It was blown. That's it. It
was right, exactly. If they fess up to it, that's fine. Yeah. But I'll tell you something. This is how confusing some of the things that have been changed over the summer. These little
rules, the wording of the rules. Doug Armstrong was very right about the wording in the rules.
But even the fact that I'm
becoming a lawyer's world, Mike.
I'm pretty up on the changes that have been made, and in the game on Wednesday with Detroit and Toronto, there was a goalie interference request for replay.
Okay.
And Detroit lost the goalie interference replay, and they found there was no interference. The Toronto goal stood.
Right. I
didn't realize, and maybe I'm dumb here, but I didn't realize that it was just the offsides and not every review. That if you lose it, you get a penalty. It's only the offside ones. It's not everyone.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And because I was one of a few reporters who came out and said, "Where's the penalty?" And then they realized it's only offsides, and I'm like, was it being run rampant that offsides calls are being used for purposes other than an actual offside? And that's the reason why they put a penalty in place?
I don't know.
I mean, that's just bizarre.
I'm gonna answer a question from the chat room.
Right, I was gonna go to
this sounds like a made up name, but I'm gonna say it anyhow. Martin Milhaven. I'm just kidding, Martin. He wants to know if Brandon Manning is still with the Flyers and is he going to go up against 97? Well, Manning was at practice and he did practice, and so did Sanheim. So there's a question whether Sanheim's going to play or Manning's going to play tomorrow. I think the Flyers would like to move on from that Manning McDavid stuff, but I don't know. Maybe Dave Haxtell doesn't. Maybe he wants to sort of try and win the psychological game. So I think they're going to be very coy about whether Manning's playing or not, and we'll see what happens in the warm-ups, and then after that.
2 other games last night. Carolina wins 2-1 over the Calgary Flames. Carolina having some success so far, as we thought that they were, because they're a much better team. Not scoring a ton of goals, though, and that's where I thought, if they're going to make the playoffs.
Hey, you guaranteed them scoring goals, Mike. I remember that. That was a guarantee. You made the Joe Namath goal again. No, you didn't. I'm kidding.
I was like, what are you talking about? I'm the one who's saying the need to make a trade to get goals.
I know.
And the other game, and we'll touch on just one aspect of this one. The Dallas Stars beat Arizona 5-4. A lot of talk about Clayton Keller and how impressive he's been so far. Now that the Coyotes overall have been abysmal, but there is a lot of.
I listened to their radio yesterday when Dallas took the lead, and then I get to the house and they're down 5-3, and sure enough, Clayton Keller. If you're a photographer, and I use this analogy, but I'm going to use it again because it's interesting. You're shooting. You don't see any offense in sight. There's a shot on goal. Then all of a sudden, boom. It's like there's a frame, a blip where Clayton Keller comes in and knocks in his second goal. And that literally seems how fast he is and how much offense he can create. But they're a mess. The power play looked bad, even with the extra attacker on the ice. If Keller didn't make that play, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're all over the place right now. And the problem is that Rick Tocchet is a new coach and they don't have a win. And we thought Vegas would be the team without a win, not the Coyotes. I don't know. Can the Coyotes go another season where they're one of the 2 worst teams in hockey? I mean, that's what we're looking at.
The funny thing here is, Russ, is that all the success early on that Vegas has had makes Arizona look so much worse. Because not because I think that the young players that are in Arizona, will make up a much more successful club in the long run than the sort of hodgepodge that's been put together with Vegas. Right now, those players have more experience and they're fighting for jobs and probably looking to impress so they can get moved someplace by the deadline and extend their careers. But with Arizona, there is a ton of talent there, and they're just not able to really put things together. And I don't know how much rope Rick Tocchet has. I mean, it wasn't working with Tippett, and they had to change direction. They waited an awful long time to hire Tocchet.
They did.
So but honestly, if it doesn't work and he's a failure and he gets fired halfway through the season, that's on Chaika because he was Chaika's choice.
Yeah, he was Chaika's choice, and I'm not saying anything's going to happen yet. But what if he goes another week without a win? I don't know. I mean,
right.
I just think there were some expectations in Arizona this year because we felt like their defense was better, and it's not.
If you go to Twitter, Russ, apparently Cousin Eddie has provided proof that Bigfoot does exist.
Yes, I just hashtag Cousin Eddie fail, and whoever attaches the best tweet to Cousin Eddie fail, I'll give you that Mitch Marner rookie card.
And if somebody can find the picture of Andre the Giant as Bigfoot from the $6 million Man,
that's probably easy now.
We can give him a Martin Marincin rookie. Okay, no. So, all right, let's go to some questions in the chat. Well, let me just start off with one thing here. And I heard a couple people speculate on this, and it is interesting. Anaheim has struggled a little bit to start the year. They only have 12 goals right now. They're not scoring. And now there's a lot of
injuries.
Yeah, they've had injuries. There's a lot of talent there, but Lindholm is coming back in the next week to 2 weeks. Vatanen is coming back pretty close after that. They will be overloaded on the blue line. Now, the question is, put yourself into Bob Murray's place here. I don't think he's getting anything that's going to help him by trading Kevin Bieksa.
No.
I think the only way he gets a forward who can help him this year right away for a team that has a chance at winning the Stanley Cup is if they trade a young defenseman like a Larson or a Montour to get a scorer.
It's going to wait a little longer, though. I think it's a little early.
Deadline, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's a deadline thing. I think that'll be his trade chip. I'm pretty sure Anaheim will be in it at the deadline, as far as in the race. And then I think that maybe if they're still having that problem, that's probably what's going to happen, because at this point, they are going to have to do something if it continues.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, Silfverberg and Raquel carried that team on its back in the play. I mean, Perry kicked in some offense at very opportune times, and Getzlaf was Getzlaf, but it was Raquel and Silfverberg and the Richie, who scored some key goals. Yeah. So they kept Patrick Eves. They kept him after they traded for him. There is some depth there, but I just think if they want to contend, if they want to seriously contend, they're going to have to add some offense, and they've got the defensive chips to do it. So
all right. So we are being told Schneider's out for tonight, so that we know.
All right.
Athanasu's close to signing a 1-year deal per Elliot Friedman.
Yep.
You told me that was never going to happen, or Eck did. I forget who it was, and I said
I think I said that, but
yeah, and I felt like that was probably going to be the way, and then at some point he'll get traded.
That's a compromise thing, because the Red Wings wanted him on a multi-year deal. They wanted to get him locked up for longer term because they think he's better than that, and they're trying to get a bargain, and he's trying to, I think this is a benefit to him because
well, now he might get traded, though. It might not be a benefit. I mean,
honestly, if he's gone this far, he probably wants to get traded,
right?
Because if they're not going to pay him what he thinks he's worth, then what's the point?
True.
So, okay, let's see, John Shannon. John Shannon's reporting just moments ago that the two sides in the Athanasiou Red Wing stalemate will talk again today. That maybe it'll get settled.
That's good. I'm happy. I want to see the kid back in hockey. I like him. I like his play. So that's good. I mean, that's a positive.
Okay, let's go to the chat here. Thomas Boyle. I think Tavares really wants off the Islanders. He looked like he could care less. I honestly don't try to read minds here. Do you think he gets traded before Christmas?
I say no way.
No.
Impossible. I felt like he looked good in the in the shootout. And so no, they're going to go the whole season with this. It's all about the stadium. They need to get the stadium deal. If they get the stadium deal, they have an excellent chance to sign him. If they don't get the stadium deal, they probably can't sign him. That's where I think it's at.
John Shannon reporting that Schneider is going to go on IR, which I think is a minimum of 7 days. So, a week. So you're talking about a week without Schneider. I mean,
yeah. So Scott Wedgwood will probably get brought up as the backup, which is good. He's a pretty good goalie. Maybe he'll get in a game.
Again, I saw him play some AHL playoff games, and he was very impressive. Okay, let's see here. We already did the Darren Drager Rangers talk. Let's see here.
I don't know if there's anything else in there. I mean, Ronta coming back, I'm not sure that's going to make a big difference for
I could see Thomas again. I could see Tampa having cap problems down the road with Kucherov. Preach to the choir, folks. Preach to the choir. I've been saying. I don't
know. They're going to lose Coburn's salary. They're going to lose Callahan's salary. I'm not sure about that.
I think it's one of these deals where, I mean, if you notice, Hedman did not get more than Stamkos.
Right.
Stamkos is the highest paid player on that team. If they're going to sign Kucherov, they're probably going to have to give more than Stamkos. And I don't know whether Tampa's got that self-imposed salary cap because in all intents and purposes they're not a team that spends to the cap ceiling. Ideally, they're a budget team with a little more operating room to use. I don't know how they get it done. I don't. Maybe they will. Maybe Kucherov wants to stay there. Maybe he'll take 8.5. If he takes $8.5 million, then obviously everybody loves Tampa and they just want to stay there and they just don't want to have to pay state taxes. But I think they're going to rue the day that they sign him to a bridge deal.
True. We got to give Brad Marchand some credit. I love this tweet that went on his timeline for an NHL 18 controller. The left button is slash someone's nuts in half. The right button is blindside hit somebody. X is a slew foot. Y is a hip check, sometimes knees. B is a slew foot. And A is a spear. The right and the 3 lines get every fan in the NHL to hate you. That's awesome. And that's on his timeline. Like, that's
yes, and he also came out this morning and said something to the effect of, when is the NHL going to make it more fair for Austin Matthews to play 1-on-5? It was actually really clever. I'm butchering it here. I'll try to get the exact quote, but I think he was being complimentary to Austin Matthews and the way he's been playing. Here you go. At what point do the Maple Leafs have to start playing Austin Matthews 1 versus 5 to make it fair for the other teams? Clever, very clever.
No, that's good. Marchand's good. I think he's a great personality, and the NHL needs that in the game, and he embraces everything that he is, and that's fantastic. So I love it, and keep it going. Definitely keep.
Couple more questions here.
There's one that I know you want to ask. I know there is.
From Brandon Blakeney. Russ, do you think the Yankees will win tonight?
Hell no.
Of course he doesn't.
No, it's not. No, wait a minute. It's also Justin Verlander on the mound.
Yes.
And he struck out, 15 last game?
Yes. The only encouraging thing here, and of course, everybody looking for stats that back their potential outcome that they want to happen will gravitate towards this. But apparently the last 4 times that Verlander has thrown over 120 pitches, his next outing, his ERA is close to 7.
Okay.
So we can always hope that happens again.
I mean, would it shock you if Aaron Judge had the golden sombrero against Verlander?
No, it wouldn't. I mean, but I think
but you have to admit, you're nervous about this game. You should be.
I'm still, I've been nervous the entire series. I mean, I thought Houston was the better team. I thought Houston was going to win. Now the Yankees are ahead. You're nervous, but I think they have the advantage if it goes to Game 7. I would prefer, for my own high blood pressure, for it to go 6 and for the Yankees to win. The same person who asked the Yankees question also asked, and I think I have to alter this because he is hired already, but Brandon Blakeney asked how long until Mark Bergevin is fired. I think he gets the season. I agree. I think that they're not, unless they're a disaster equal to what they were a couple years ago when Price got hurt, and that was the out. Price got hurt. They were terrible. They didn't fire Terrien. They didn't fire Bergevin. They just wrote it off as, well, we lost our best player. Well, that should have sent you warning signs because if your team wasn't even good enough to be 500 without Carey Price, then your team is inadequate.
Right.
And they have Carey Price right now, and they're not winning, and they're not scoring enough goals. And you're putting a lot of focus on Drouin and a lot of focus on Max Pacioretty, who will take, he'll take the abuse because he's a captain and he's an accountable player. But all that being said, they need to make a trade to get more offense, and if they don't do it, they're going to burn down. And right now, they're burning down.
I think that's fair. I see there's a Aaron Rodgers thumbs up shot from after surgery. Why does everybody feel compelled to, especially athletes, to give that thumbs up after surgery? And they look like hell. Like everybody, surgery's not fun. The first thing when I'm out of surgery is not wanting to go on social media and post a picture. There's other things like go to the bathroom, get something to eat, That's very low on my list. That's just saying.
Yes, but we don't have a following like Aaron Rodgers.
I know.
I know a particular friend of mine in Buffalo. She's very into Aaron Rodgers and was heartbroken when he got hurt. Last question here, right up your alley, Russ.
Okay.
Who's the next coach of the New York Rangers? Praying AV is fired in the next couple days.
Well, who will be the next coach? There's a lot of people that would tell you Lindy Ruff because Lindy Ruff is right there. Now, I think the caveat would be he'll be the next interim if they do fire AV, that's for sure. And then they'll do a larger search and decide if it's going to be Ruff or somebody else. I think that's the way it'll sort of shake out. But initially, Lindy will take over the reins if that were to happen. I don't know if it's close to happening. I don't hear anything, so I don't think it's that close. I think Vigneault's got a couple more weeks to straighten this out, and then we're probably talking about it.
Right. I think it's going to be rough if it does happen, but
as an interim, or is they going to just sign him to a
No. I mean, he's already under contract. Maybe right. It probably will be an interim, but who is out there? We talked about somebody off air, and that I don't know if we want to go into, but there's not many. Usually when you go out for a coach, you're not gonna. It's not gonna be like a Philadelphia situation where they hire a coach after 3 games into the regular season. They probably, they might do like what the Islanders did with Doug Weight and go interim for the rest of the year and then make a decision. But I don't know if there's anybody out there that is worthy of firing Vigneault and then giving somebody a big contract.
Yeah. We did have a question in the chat room. Did we talk about the Devils? I mean, we did talk about their injury situation. We should mention Nico Hischier did have a great 2 goals. I do think it's great that he's playing with Drew Stafford. I think he's like the perfect sort of veteran to do the dirty work for Nico and let Nico get in around the net like he did last night and get goals. So that's great that he's on the board now. And you talked about the tweet from Taylor Hall. So that's about as much Devils that's getting into the broadcast, guys.
Yeah, I'll give a tip of the hat to Taylor Hall because he sure has New Jersey Devils prospect on his Twitter profile. And after scoring a goal last night, Taylor Hall tweeted him and said, "I think you can take prospect off of there."
Yeah. For people that want Daryl Sutter as the Ranger coach, he just did an NHL.com interview like a day or 2 ago and said that he is not in retirement, but he's taking his time. He wants to find the right fit, and he's not against a rebuilding team. Well, A, the Rangers are not a rebuilding team, and B, he's still getting paid, as Mike pointed out to me off air. So to rush into a Ranger job, I don't think that's going to happen.
Right. Okay, good show. We'll be back on Monday with another edition of the Hockey Buzzcast. I will be up in Toronto as the Leafs prepare to play the Los Angeles Kings. The injury to Jeff Carter appears very serious. It was a laceration, so he's going to have surgery on that, and they've signed Brooks Laich to a 1-year contract. Not casting aspersions on Brooks Laich, but he's not a replacement for Jeff Carter. But
no, I mean, I think they know that they're going to just try and sort of keep their team in it. Right now, they're more than in it, but that's a big part of their offense. So they're gonna do what they want.
That's an injury that hurts.
Practice too for Vegas Golden Knights fans, just because we didn't mention the team at all. There you go. Check out my article on Owen Tippett on Sportsology because I witnessed his first game the other day. It was pretty great, and I can guarantee you there'll be a Kaylor Yamamoto article on Sunday after I see him Saturday against the Flyers. So keep an eye on that.
For Russ Cohen, I'm Michael Agello. Thanks for watching, and remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey.